TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Hey, this is Ike. It's good to have y'all back. It's Thursday, January 18th, 2024. The Daytona 500, 1 month away today. Born on this date in 1941, singer-songwriter Bobby Goldsboro of Dothan. In 1950, former Auburn football player and coach Pat Sullivan of Birmingham. Now, today we have a crash in the numbers of paroles granted, some record cold temperatures, and the passing of a lawyer. I'm Mike Morgan, and we are down in Alabama. Alabama's parole stats have swung wildly in recent years, and some are calling the Alabama Board of Pardons and Paroles unreasonable in its reluctance to grant more inmates their freedom, reports AL.com's Savannah Rinkew. Former Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice Sue Bell Cobb, who now runs a nonprofit that tries to help prisoners with medical conditions get paroled, even said of the parole board chair, quote, "I don't know how she sleeps at night." First, some background. Jimmy O'Neill Spencer was serving 2 life sentences for 8 convictions back in 2017 when he was paroled and sent to a Birmingham homeless shelter. Within weeks, he was committing crimes again and eventually was arrested for killing 3 people. 2 women that he robbed, ages 65 and 74, and a 7-year-old boy he killed to get rid of him as a witness. Those crimes, of course, horrified the state and prompted calls for a tightening up of the parole board. Now, at that time, just over half of inmates who were up for parole were being granted their release. And that percentage was on the rise. With Alabama's violent, run-down, overcrowded prisons pitting the state against the Justice Department in court, it made sense to try to lighten the inmate load. Well, that's now slowed to a crawl. In 2023, only 8% of those who came before the board were granted parole. The board's own guidelines suggest that rate should be more like 80%. Now, of the 3 parole board members, the biggest difference has been made by Chairwoman Lee Gwathney, who was appointed not long after the Spencer murders. Data gathered by the ACLU over a 10-week period last year shows Gwathney voting yes at about a 2.4% clip. She previously was an assistant attorney general, and over that same 10-week period, she voted no on every parole request that the AG's office opposed. Now, one of the points being made by the ACLU is that almost all paroles are also being denied for those who are assigned to work release facilities. So we're sending the inmates out into the community already, but still not granting them parole. Jeanette Grantham, the director of Victims of Crime and Leniency, sees it differently. Quote, "To me, the most important thing is we don't have any new victims," she said. We had some record-breaking cold days this week in parts of the state, according to weather reporter Lee Morgan for AL.com. Now, I'm not talking about low temperatures at night, but high temperatures during the day. On Tuesday, Huntsville's high was only 21 degrees, breaking its record low maximum temperature for January 16th. In Muscle Shoals, it only got up to 22 degrees, tying a record set way back in 1927, the year Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs. In Birmingham, it got up to 27 degrees, 3 whole degrees below a mark set in 77. And in Tuscaloosa, it got to 28 degrees, also 3 degrees lower than its previous record, also set in 77. Then on Wednesday morning, with everybody trying to stay warm, the TVA hit an all-time peak power demand, breaking a record set during very different weather conditions in August 2007. The TVA said its grid has been stable and generating facilities are doing well. Bill Slaughter, a former state legislator and a lawyer who represented Jefferson County through its sewer crisis, has passed away, reports AL.com's Greg Garrison. Now, he served in the State House from 1986 to 1990, and wrote legislation to allow casinos at dog tracks. He also worked as an attorney for the city of Birmingham, but it was while representing the county that Slaughter helped negotiate $475 million in 40-year bond sales to finance sewer debt after $1 billion worth of sewer repairs. Those bond swap deals eventually went bad during the financial crisis in 2008, and Jefferson County went bankrupt. Bill Slaughter was 84 years old. Thank y'all so much for being here. We're going to come back and do this again tomorrow. Until then, y'all come on by and see what we're up to on the World Wide Web at al.com.